Ready? Hi, my name is Governor. Growing up was a nightmare for me. It started out, my father left when I was 2. By the time I was 3, I was put in a state home with my older brother and my 2 older sisters. And it's where my spirituality started, but it was being taught to me in a very negative way. And it's also where my drug abuse and alcohol began. At age 9, my mother and stepfather came and got me, and my other brother and sisters, and took us out of the home. And for the first couple of years, things were great. But my father got deeper into his alcoholism and eventually into drugs, and things got so worse that I'd rather be in the nightmare of the home than to be with my stepfather. And this continued until I was 18 when I joined the military. By the time that I came out of the military, I was in a downward spiral of abuse and addiction. I had 27 addictions. I was doing between 12 and 27 drugs a day to run from my past and the pain and the turmoil. I clearly remember when I hit bottom. I was sitting there trashed out with a needle in my arm, and the Holy Spirit came to me. He told me that no longer will I be able to hide from this pain. No longer will He let me run from it, no matter how high I got. Not long after that, I met up with a dear friend of mine, Chris Thomas. Chris chose to see something in me. He wouldn't let me go. He didn't beat on me, didn't banter me, but he came lovingly and politely and just began to question me, to make me question the authoritative power of my God, Satan, what He done for me, how He healed me, did He love me, how He blessed me, telling me that my wiggle room was being closed off, that God was shutting my wiggle room down to where eventually I was going to have to face God. Well, shortly after Chris had helped me recommit to Christ and gave me a wonderful church to be a part of and a life group, he got me into the Salvation Army in Tulsa, the ARC Rehabilitation Center for my drug abuse. While I was in the ARC, not more than a month, it had come to a point one Sunday after church that I sat in the chapel, and I've been reading the Bible, I've been learning about God, and much I'd already known from my past was just reiterating, and I was getting deeper, and I began to understand that at one point or another I'd have to come to face terms with my past, my blaspheming of God, my cursings, taking Christians away from them and bringing them to Satan. So I sat in the chapel by myself, at first standing up, walking back and forth, talking to the crucifix behind the pulpit, talking to God and telling him, I'm a sinner. Your grace is too much. I don't know why you're going to save me, why you choose to save me. I don't know what you got planned for me, but whatever it is, as I lay my life down for Satan and the drugs 100% with no question, I'll lay my life for you. I'm yours. Do with me as you will. I no longer want to do with myself. And I was brought to my knees in tears from the mercy and the love that I felt, the purity that I felt. I was reassured that it's going to be all right, that we're all sinners, we all fall short, but we got that Holy Spirit that's around us all the time. And when we accept Christ, when we start to try to search for Him, He comes inside of us in the Spirit. And that's where people talking to you and on the radio, the music, and people around you, you get this stirring, this gut feeling that it's right. There's something pure about what's being said here. There's something correct about what's being said here, and it's God nudging you. Man, God, He is a gracious Redeemer. I'd like to thank Chris for helping me for helping me understand that I need to commit to Christ, showing me the way to commit to Christ. I'd like to thank Chris and Kim both for their life group, for the fellowship. It really helps me, in times when I'm down, when I'm hurt. I'd also like to thank Debbie Pope and Teresa Rosales at the shelter that brought me in from where I was at. And they saved my life. I was at a point where I was 2 steps off the gutter. I was 110 pounds dying. And they brought me in, took me in, refused to let me do my drugs, refused to let me live that life. Whoever finds God finds life.